Hello students. So yesterday we had studied about the separation of mixture, and in which we had discussed about chromatography as well as that of the evaporation. So we studied in evaporation that how evaporation is used to separate the solid substance which is dissolved in water, or we can say how this process is useful in separating that of the solid from the liquid. So in the evaporation we came to know that how can we obtain a common salt from that of the water, that is from the sea water, you can say. So in a larger scale, by the using this process, this separation technique, we can separate that of the common salt from sea water, as well as we can separate the mixture of a dye in the water. Okay, now we will come to the next one, and that is chromatography. Okay, so we studied the process of the chromatography, how the chromatography process occur, and right now we will study that what is the application of the, what are the different application of the chromatography. So we had discussed in chromatography that we will take a paper, that is a filter paper, or it is known as a chromatography paper, and we will keep that chromatography paper in that of the chromatography jar, and before that, in that chromatography paper, above to the one end of the filter paper, at least up to 3 centimeter, and the middle of that 3 centimeter scale, we will with the help of a capillary tube, we will put a small drop of a dye, and we will dry it, and after that we will keep it in a chromatography jar. Okay, and when you keep it, then what happen, that water starts moving upward, because that chromatography jar is having water in it, and that water start moving upward, and it will take the dye, it will take that dye with it, and start moving to the upward position of that filter paper. And as you know that a black dye is having a mixture of all the color component, so it basically depend upon the solubility. Whoever is more soluble in water will go to the upper position than that of the component which is less soluble in water will remain at the lower bottom of the solution. Now we will start with the application of chromatography. So application, this chromatography we use, but where it is used, where we can apply this process of chromatography. So you see here children, that the chromatographic technique is used for separation of amino acid, protein, and that of the carbohydrate. So basically it is used to separate the biomolecules, because we take amino acid, protein, carbohydrate in a molecule, okay, bio macromolecule. So here amino acid, all everything is, we take it in a molecule itself. So this technique is used for the separation of amino acid, separation of protein, and separation of a carbohydrate. Not only this, it is also used for analysis of drug, hormone, and vitamins. Okay, so it basically help in detecting or identifying the trace amount of a substances of drug, or the hormones, or the vitamin. It is also helpful for qualitative and quantitative analysis of a complex mixture. What it is made up of a mixture, what quality does it have, or what kind of a components present in that particular mixture, we can identify with the help of the this separating technique, and that is chromatography. Then you see this application of chromatography. It is also useful for determination of molecular weight of protein. So what are the different weight of the protein? It can be determined with the help of this chromatography. So other applications are also there, like very easy one, like it is used to separate the solution of a component. So basically it is, you can see here, used to separate the solution of a colored substance. Okay, so the first one is it is used to separate the color substance. Right now we have studied about the mixture of a dye, mixture of a color component present in a black color, black ink, and by which it get separated. Also, it used to separate the pigments of the natural color also, we can say. So it is used in separation of pigments of a natural color. Then the third one is it is used to separate the small amount of a product of a chemical reaction. So it is also useful in separating the small amount of a product which is formed due to that of the chemical reaction. Then the fourth one is it is used in the forensic science. It is very important, student, that basically it is used in the forensic science to detect and identify the trace amount of a substance in a content of a bladder and that of the stomach. So here we are simply talking about that the small amount of a drugs or a hormones or a vitamins which is present in that of the bladder and that of the stomach. It can be detected by the process of chromatography. So these are some application of the chromatography which we use in different field. Now we will come to the next separation technique, that is crystallization. So now we will come to the next one, that is the crystallization. So see, student, in the process of crystallization, here also we are separating the solid component from that of the liquid one. So here in this process, it is a kind of a process of a cooling a hot concentrated solution of a substance to obtain the crystals is called the crystallization. So basically after this we obtain the crystal, and that crystal is the pure form, is in the pure form, and that's why we can say that it help in separating the two components which is mixed together. Okay, so it is used for obtaining a pure solid substance from that of the impure sample. Okay, so you can see here the procedure. What is the procedure of this crystallization process? You can see here, this is the crystal which is forming in that of a solution when we do the process of crystallization, or this one when we keep the crystallization. Now we will start and try to understand that what is the procedure of obtaining a crystal. So here when you take a impure substance, you can see here this is the impure solid substance. It is dissolved in a minimum amount of a water. So you can see here, student, in the step 1, this is the step 1, and in this step we will see the impure solid is there and a solvent is there, and this impure solid is mixed with that of the solid substance. So impure solid is dissolved in a minimum amount of water. Okay, we will stir it so that it get dissolved in that of the solvent. So impure solid is dissolved in the solvent. Now when we see the second step, So what we will do, when this it get mixed in that of the solvent, the solution is now filtered. At first it will be filtered to remove the insoluble impurity. When you mix this solid, impure solid, in the water, there must be some of the components are there which will be easily get dissolved in that of the solvent, and there are some of the component which is not easily dissolved in it, which are not properly get dissolved, or we can say which is almost insoluble impurities present in it. So what we will do, at first we will stir it, we will try to mix it, and later on we will filter this solvent, this solution we can say, in which the impure solid is present. When we filter it, then some of the insoluble impurity will get removed from it. Later on, the filtrate which we obtain after the process of filtration, we will take that clear solution, because that is the filtrate. So we know that the filtrate is almost the clear solution. Maybe that filtrate consisting of the other impurities also, but if it is passing through the filter paper, so we will call it as a clear solution. So we will take that clear solution and we will heat that clear solution gently on a water bath. So this is a water bath, and we will take the solution and we will heat that solution on a water bath. And we will heat the solution on a water bath till a concentrated solution or a saturated solution is obtained. So we will try to heat it continuously till we get a saturated solution of that solution. Okay. So you can see here the solution is heated to evaporate most of the solvent. Now you allow this hot saturated solution to cool slowly. This is the step third. You can see here, students, this hot solution. So this hot solution is allowed to cool, and the solid appears as a pure crystal. Right now we will try to understand this, that this hot solution which we will try to evaporating, what will happen when you give heat to this solution, the solution, that clear solution which you are gently heating on that of the water bath till it get concentrated. So when you give heat to it, then what happen, most of the water vapor start evaporating, and due to which what happened, the liquid, the solvent in which you dissolve it, it get evaporated and the solid substance is there. So we will try to do it until and unless it reaches, most of the solvent get evaporated. That's why we are saying that till we get a concentrated solution. When we get the concentrated solution, when the amount of solvent will be less, so we will evaporate it until and unless most of the solvent molecule will get evaporated. Okay, and thus it become concentrated solution. Now we will take out the solution from the water bath, and as you take out the water this solution from that of the water bath, and keep this hot solution, and so that it get cool slowly. As you cool it, then what happened, you will observe that you can see here, at the bottom of this you are seeing a kind of a crystal, this kind of a structure you can see it. This is actually the crystal of the hot and of that pure solid are formed. Okay, so this is the pure form of the crystal, pure form of solid will after this concentrated solution becomes cool, this pure form of a solid will comes in the form of a crystal. Okay, and the impurities in it will remain dissolved in the solution. So the solution which is present here, the solution which you can see here, it is present in it, actually it is the impurities solution, impurities present in the solution, but this crystal which is present at the base of it, it is having the pure solid form. It is a crystal of a pure solid. Okay, and after that what we will do now, we will take a filter paper and we will try to separate the crystal of a pure solid by filtration. Okay, so we'll take a filter paper and we will pour this solvent consisting of the crystal into on that filter paper. What happened? The crystal will remain present on the filter paper while the filtrate will it will pass through that of the filter paper that consisting of the impurities. So this filter paper is consisting of a pure solid crystals with it, and that pure solid crystals is filtered, and after that it is dried, and then you get the pure solid compound, or we can say by this process we can separate the solid component from that of the liquid one. So you can see here, student, when you heat it and when you try to concentrate that solution, then you will get like this. Okay, you will get a solid in which the crystal appear. You can see here the formation of a crystal is occurring in this solution. Okay, occurring in this petri dish, in this watch glass in which you had kept it. Okay, so this is a petri dish in which we had kept the concentrated solution and the formation of crystal is appearing. You can see here also the formation of a crystal is occurring, and this is the solution. This is the solution in which the impurities remain present, and these are the crystal of the pure solid. So is there any method by which we can obtain that crystal form of a substance? Yes, by taking help of that a copper sulfate solution. Okay, so if a impure copper sulfate is there in that of the solution, in a solution if a impure copper sulfate is present, so we can do the process of a crystallization. At first, if suppose this copper is consisting of a copper sulfate as well as the impurities are there, so we will mix it together with the help of a water. The copper sulfate solution and mixture will be mixed in the solvent, and that we will take the solvent is filtered again, and after filtration we will take that solution to the water bath. At water bath it become condenses, and when we take out and keep it for some time to so that it get cooled down, then you will obtain a blue copper sulfate crystal will be present in that of the petri dish. Okay, and then what we will do here, if suppose this is the copper sulfate, then we will pour this solution with the crystals with the help of a filter paper, and finally you will obtain a blue colored crystal of a pure form of a copper sulfate on that filter paper, and the impurities will remain in the solution and it will pass through that of the filter paper. It will not obtain that on the filter paper. So by this process you can separate a impure copper sulfate from the impurities. Okay, so this is the method of the crystallization by which you can separate a solid component from that of the liquid component by the process of the crystallization. So there are a lot more examples are there of a crystallization. So we can separate the solid from that of the liquid. The name crystallization is given. It is basically due to the as we obtain the crystals, we obtain the pure form of a solid in the form of a crystals. The resultant of this experiment is the crystals only, and that's why the process is known as crystallization. So it is a process by which, by cooling a hot concentrated solution of a substance, so that we get a crystal again, so that we obtain a crystals, and that's why the name is crystallization. Okay, so this is a process of crystallization. See, this is the formation of the crystal as the crystal formed. Okay, this is the crystallization. Now we will try to understand the another type of a separating method, separating technique. in which we will separate the solid component from the liquid component, and that process is known as a distillation. Okay, this is a process of a mixture of one of the solid and that of the liquid component. Although distillation process can be used for the both liquid and liquid component, but it can be used for the solid and liquid component also. So basically this method is used for the separation of both. If the component is a solid and other component is a liquid, or if a component or if both of the components are liquid. Now see here, when we were talking about the process of evaporation, then what we were doing, we were simply taking a solid component and a liquid was mixed together. Then liquid was a solvent, it's a water or any kind of a solvent is there, and due to evaporation, what happened that water will evaporated in the form of a vapor, and it goes into the atmosphere. And in this process, in the process of evaporation, there is a drawback that we cannot renew, or we cannot get back the liquid substance again. It means that when you heat that particular liquid which is mixed with that of the solid also, when you heat it, even then also you will not get back the liquid, because as you heat it, the liquid will get converted into vapor, and that vapor will get evaporated in the atmosphere. But in case of a distillation process, when we talk about the distillation, in this process of heating, here also when we are talking about a liquid and that of the solid component, when we heat the liquid which is mixed with the solid, the heating of the liquid, it forms a vapor, and the vapor, it starts moving upward since it becomes steam now. So as it moves upward, then it cools down due to the low temperature, or we can say that at first the liquid forms vapor, and then cooling the vapor occurs, and due to which we get back the liquid again. Okay, so this is the benefit of that of using distillation process as compared to the evaporation. So we can say that we can use the process of evaporation when we do not need the other component, that is liquid, which is getting evaporated in the atmosphere. But in case of a distillation, if we want to separate both of the component from each other, as well as we want both of the component, okay, individually, but we want the liquid also as well as that of the solid. So to obtain liquid also with the help from that of the solid, that process we can do, or we can use this separating technique, that is distillation. Now we will start with the distillation. So as I said that it is a process of heating a liquid to form a vapor, and then again cooling the vapor, okay, to get back the liquid. And the liquid which obtained by condensing the vapor, it is called distillate. Okay, so the liquid which get heated and it becomes vapor, and again when by cool temperature it becomes a liquid, that is known as distillate. And in order to obtain both of the process, we use this separating technique, that is distillation. So basically what happened when a mixture of a homogeneous mixture of a solid and the liquid is heated in a closed distillation flask. This is the flask. This is a distillation flask, and this distillation flask, it consisting of both the thing, that is the liquid as well as the solid. And as it get mixed together, it becomes a homogeneous mixture. So when you heat this homogeneous mixture of a solid and the liquid, The liquid, it being volatile, it forms vapor. You see here, it forms vapor. Okay, and as it forms vapor, the vapor is then passed to a condenser. This is the condenser, students. And when it get passed through the condenser, it get cooled down. Why is this so? Let me explain you with the help of this apparatus. You can see here a flask is there, and the flask is a distillation flask. Okay, this is the flask, which is a distillation flask. It is kept here. Stand is there, burner stand is there, and this stand, you can see here. A burner we are using to heat it. Here we use a cork, and the cork is connected with a thermometer. We use a thermometer to measure the temperature of the or to measure the boiling point of the liquid. So we use a thermometer, a flask is there, a cork is there in which the thermometer is fixed, and then you will see a condenser is there. Why we are using the term condenser? Condense means what? In which the the gas get converted into liquid. That is the process of condensation. Okay, and the thing which help in converting the vapor into that of the liquid is known as the condenser. So it is a condenser. With this condenser, there are two pipes. Okay, first one is the water out and another one is the cool water in. So here one pipe is attached with it. Let me show you. You can see here, student, one pipe is attached with this and one pipe is attached with this. First pipe is there which is attached to that of the tap, and from tap water cool water starts coming to it, and the another one is the water out. After going to this inside to that of the condenser, the water becomes hot and this water will comes out from this pipe. That's why here it is written a water in and water out. So cool water in, you can see in this condenser one more pipe is there, and that's why the vapor which is coming to it does not get mixed with the water which we are providing in the condenser. So this is a separating pipe. You can see here the white color, and the blue is the another pipe. Okay. So this is the pipe which is connected to that of the tap, and when the water will get inside to the condenser, cool water is going to it. This blue color is showing the cool water, and as it comes here, it becomes hot due to the presence of the vapor and it goes out. So one pipe is there, one inlet is there, and one outlet is there in which the cool water get inside, and here the water will come outside. So due to which the flow of water will continuously occur in the condenser. And here you will see this is that this portion. It is this one. Okay, so it will finally get connected to that of the receiving flask. Okay, this is the flask in which we obtain the liquid substance. I think you have understood the apparatus. Now we will able to understand it. So when you provide heat to this mixture, the homogeneous mixture of a solid and a liquid, when you heat it, then what happen? It get the liquid being a volatile, having low boiling point, it will get evaporated, and this vapor finally enters into the condenser. Okay, in the condenser the cold water is continuously coming, and due to which the temperature, as it gain here to become a vapor, it lowers down, and as the temperature lowers down, the vapor it finally get converted into the liquid again. Okay, and thus it will, in the form of a liquid, it will start moving from it will get inside into it and start moving in it, and finally you will receive the liquid substance again into that of the another flask. Okay, so here if suppose I can explain you with the help of example, that is of a salt and water. Okay, so if you are keeping the salt and water together, NaCl and water, so the common salt and water. So common salt and water is a homogeneous mixture. Water is a volatile. It is having a less boiling point than that of a liquid, than that of the other. And this NaCl, so common salt, is a non-volatile. So it will remain behind in this flask. So we want to obtain that water also, and that's why we are doing this process of distillation. So when you heat it, the water, it get vaporizes, and as water get vaporizes, it will finally comes to the condenser, and as it comes to the condenser, finally you will obtain in the form of a water drops, you will obtain it into another flask. And that water will be a distillate. Here we use a distillate. It means it will be distilled water. It will be a pure water. Okay, while the salt which we were using, which were mixed with that of the liquid, it will remain in the flask. So you can see here in this flask, NaCl will be there. And in this flask, we will obtain the water. Okay, so in one, common salt will be there, and the another one, the water will be there. So this is the process by which we can collect the pure liquid in the collector or in the receiving flask, and where they get separated by the help of the condenser. And the solid substance which was mixed with the homogeneous mixture of the liquid here, so it will remain in this flask. Okay, so we can separate both of them together. So this is the process of a distillation by which we can separate the solid and the liquid component from each other. Although this distillation process can be used by the two miscible liquid. Okay.